lose our minds. I don't think we would ever. I don't think we'd be able to do it. The Gulf War was a major shift in this. I think you had CNN shooting directly from the war to American TVs. Oh my God. I remember the second Gulf War, the Iraq War, where you had like, I always thought this was so weird as a kid because like that was the first war I guess I was alive for, but it just seemed so surreal because it looked like a StarCraft game. I don't know if you guys remember this, but you would see like fucking, I can't draw Iraq for shit, but Baghdad would be somewhere up here. You would see like 4,000 troops here. This was supposed to be a comma, and you'd see like 5,000 troops here, and you'd see like 7,000 troops here, and you'd see shit like this, and it's like, this is kind of crazy. Like, I wonder if Saddam like turns on CNN and shit to look for like, I don't know. I thought that was really, really crazy. The Middle East was so one-sided, it's surreal. Yeah, maybe. My duder is here. Hold on one second. I'll be back 1 second. I'm getting my food. Geraldo Rivera reported exact troop locations and got kicked out of Iraq for it. Pepe La. Nice. 1 second.
Another black day, sat indoors, feeling alone and full of decay. Some skanky alky is looking at me in an understanding way. Friends don't exist. Friends don't exist. No one's going to give you a kiss. Who cares if you exist? Friends don't exist. When you're home alone, you may as well be asleep for the week. I'm so weak, but somehow I exist.
fucking hate delivery driving shit now. Okay, just when you live in an apartment, it feels like they always like drive around forever. All right.
Tech companies should be allowed to ban whoever they want.
It's a hard one, honestly, because is it whoever, just based on what they deem is wrong? Like, I don't know.
You know, I worked in a country club once, and they had this strict dress code for employees and even for members. I mean, you could, as long as it's legal.
Right, that's the one caveat. I mean,
Yeah.
you can't say no Jews, no,
Yeah.
no whatever.
Yeah,
or, yeah.
Right. Yeah, as long as they have a set terms and conditions, then yeah, they could ban whoever they want. They shouldn't just ban whoever, you know.
Well, I think they should be able to say, okay, you're done, even if it doesn't necessarily impede on the terms and conditions.
Basically, I think what we're having is a free market response, saying
Right.
they let them do what they want and let consumers go where they are, but you have to have a functioning free market where people can go somewhere else.
But they can't right now, though. That's the problem.
Who wouldn't be able to go to
Parler being removed from the app
It's
store.
on web services and
But-
app store, and basically it's an antitrust law kind of thing, because basically they're trying to create a monopoly between all the social media like Twitter and Facebook. And
Yeah.
I think that's what I read off of it.
I've actually talked to
And this is, I'll always take the L on this because no one will ever agree with me on it. Fine, whatever. One thing that is super cringe that should have never changed, and the culture changed underneath me way too fast. You should never have a reciprocated ban on another platform. If you type some racist and hateful shit on Twitter, and Twitter wants to ban you for it, fine, go for it. But you shouldn't get banned from Twitter and Facebook and Twitch and YouTube and everything else because it's something you've done on another platform. That's really fucking cringe. I don't know why people are okay with that or how everybody got on board with that. But like, bans should be specific to your conduct on a platform.
an owner of one platform who says they do more to combat hate speech on a per person basis than some of the larger entities, but they still can't get picked up on Apple and the Google
Right.
Play.
That's my
And,
problem.
the market isn't functioning properly then.
Like, okay, should Twitter have the leader of Hezbollah be on Twitter? They're listed as a terror group by the EU and the US.
Well,
he's still on Twitter.
they've been sued over that.
I mean, have they? Yeah, I was gonna say, have
And
they?
they've been sued over that, but as long as the tweets aren't promoting
Yeah.
terror or violating
It's
the
also a
terms,
political
that's
party.
That's
the
They
thing.
are-
Is it's,
yeah, they're part
Hezbollah
of
is a
their-
political party
they're
in,
part of
in
their
Lebanon.
parliament.
I know Bin Laden's dead, but if he were alive and he made a Twitter and he didn't tweet anything that violated the terms and conditions, to his point, wouldn't they be able to still stay on the platform?
And I think that
Yeah, I mean,
I think that should be fair, because
I
you
don't
need.
think-
Well,
Like, it's crazy because they're like, well, shouldn't they not be allowed? So, because liberals always talk about, I should say leftists. No, that's probably liberals too. Liberals always talk about like rehabilitation and shit. Do you think that if you have a felony, you should be auto banned from every single social media platform, right? Like, what if you killed somebody? What if you got a DUI and you manslaughtered, two people? You got in a car accident, killed people. Should you be banned from like Twitter and Facebook too, since you're a murderer? Like, if you don't fuck up on the platform, then you shouldn't be banned on the platform. Full stop.
I mean, not necessarily. I want Osama bin Laden.
I agree. They should just ban him.
maybe match.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that, like, if they have a set guidelines and set rules, they shouldn't, and they follow them, then why would you kick them off in the first place?
I mean, if it violates their terms and conditions, I think they can ban whoever they want, but I guess just a hypothetical, if all of a sudden they were like, we don't want to see breastfeeding, so we're going to ban everyone just because we want to. Technically they can because they're a private, business entity, but I guess morally it kind of rubs me the wrong way.
I want to agree, but I feel like if I do agree, then I feel like I would be giving social media and tech companies far too much importance.
Right.
People exist without social media. I don't think if
You do cross-platform bans, don't you? What's the difference here? It's different because if I do cross-platform bans, it's not really that I'm banning you from those platforms. I'm banning you from a community that exists across separate platforms. I'm not banning you from Discord and banning you from Twitter and banning you from Twitch. I'm just banning you from my community that happens to exist across multiple platforms. There's a difference there, right? If you go and you post like in the Linkin Park fan club that you hope everyone in Linkin Park kills themselves, it would make sense if you got banned from like the Linkin Park forum, the Linkin Park Discord, and the Linkin Park like email group or whatever, right? Like that's different. You're not talking about platform-wide bans there. You're just talking about being banned from a certain community that might span across different platforms. It's a different thing.
If you ban somebody that's like a morally egregious act.
I think you'd be shocked the number of people, especially like my age and younger, who get their news exclusively from social media. My worry about it is that the algorithms of these companies do not incentivize nuance.
Yeah.
So a lot of the time you see, like what trends is what is getting clicks, and a lot of the time that's controversy.
But sometimes too, though, they artificially put things that are trending up there that really aren't.
Well, the problem is it's
Yeah.
the Wizard of Oz.
Reddit
Maybe
did
I
that,
haven't
and
heard.
Twitter does that too.
We don't know what those.
I don't know if that's true. They artificially, I feel like you would get in trouble with your shareholders if you were doing that. That sounds conspiratorial. Why would you artificially inflate shit if it's going to get less clicks? Unless they mean like they ban certain types of voices or something. Or has this come out? Is this like a story? Does this happen? I know that sometimes they might like stick you like a mod post or something, but...
algorithms are, but there are suspicions that they are trying to fuel conflict.
Right.
And conflict creates clicks, which creates comments, which creates engagement.
And money.
And so in some ways, social media is dividing us as much as it is bringing people together in this big platform.
Oh, they definitely profit off of the division too.
When we talk about the terms and agreements, it's interesting because there's nothing that says incitement of violence. But if we do put incitement of violence, then Trump didn't really incite. I believe he didn't incite them because he didn't say, "Oh, go to the Capitol and beat them
Break
up."
down the doors
Yeah,
and the windows.
but you have people on, during the Black Lives Matter movement saying, "Be restless." Oh, break down stuff. Punch a Nazi in the face.
Maybe if you communicated with those people, you would know that a lot of people were banned. There were mass bannings of Black Lives Matter supporters
But
since
Antifa.
2014. I personally don't know anyone who identifies as Antifa. That's usually something that
That's
I hear
why I wanna dispute
as like a talking point on the right. But personally,
Have there been mass waves of BLM people banned? Did that ever happen? Maybe it has, but I've never heard of that happening before.
I know they exist, but I don't know much about them, so would love for you to explain. So, I mean, they are getting banned,
I
right?
personally
That's my
don't
point.
think so
It's
because
catching
I think maybe small people because I
Or
focus
the
on the big.
largest social justice account showing.
I feel like it's like larger people who actually sit in violence.
I don't know why she keeps bringing up Sean King. Sean King has 600,000 followers and he's verified on Twitter. I don't know why she keeps bringing that up.
Like Maxine Waters, Chris Cuomo, Don Lemon. Like
Chris
people-
Cuomo's inciting violence?
He said who
Yeah.
said
Yeah.
protests have to be peaceful?
Yeah.
I think a good basis point to look at that from is whether or not someone who goes on and incites violence, who is a politician, is being treated differently than someone who goes on and incites violence and is a protest organizer. I think as a concern, yes, the inequitable enforcement of terms and conditions is a concern to me on whatever side it's on. And I think back to their various examples. I think one good one is the Covington kids. Are you guys familiar with
Yeah.
this?
Of course, yeah.
Where a lot of people were putting things like, oh, we're gonna kill these kids, we're gonna feed these kids into the wood chipper, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And they weren't really getting banned from it. Feed these kids into the wood chipper, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And they weren't really getting banned from it.
Yeah.
And there was postulation in right-leaning circles that it was because those kids were wearing MAGA hats.
Cancel culture is a conversation that has been happening in liberal spaces as well. Maybe we don't have Fox. I don't know. We have these other stations, but maybe it's just not reported on a lot. However, I do hear so many conversations about cancel culture, forgiveness, and accountability happening in liberal circles as well.
Spreading lies should be protected as free speech.
My thing here is that I think we have to be very attentive to who we make the arbiter of the truth.
When I think about lies and like people's lies, you know, I think about people's truths, you know, people's perspective, people's opinions, and you know, that should be protected in that sense, because if you feel something and you believe in something or you have an opinion on something, that is your truth. That is, well, maybe to some people it's a lie, maybe to most of the people it's a lie, but that's your truth and you have the right to say your truth, right? When Donald Trump started this campaign of, you know, the election was rigged, he actually does believe that. That is his truth. It seemed like a lie to a lot of people on the left and probably some people on the right. But he has the right to say that. You know, there's nothing in the Constitution, there's no law saying.
Well, the question that begs is who says whether it's a lie?
Yeah.
Who decides it's a lie?
Yeah, who's the arbiter, like you said?
If we allow lies to be spread as part of like a free speech, then we have what we have now currently is, I think 500,000 people now died of coronavirus. And a lot of them died on account of just lies. You know, if you wear a mask, you know, you can't breathe in it. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to social distance. This is a liberal hoax. So if we protect lies in the realm of free speech, they have real life, real time consequences.
You know, we protect people from certain things that are dangerous. And if I say
One of the biggest potential memes of all time is that I'm pretty sure it's the case that if we would have lost less than, like, if we would reduce our fatalities to the coronavirus by half, and if Trump wouldn't have constantly talked down about mail-in voting, I think he could have won the election, because not as many Republicans would have died, and because some Republicans that would have otherwise voted but didn't get a chance to would have mailed in ballots.
said, you know, or, you know, take this placebo, don't, you know, because it'll cure cancer, and people did that and died. That would be dangerous.
Theoretically, you would be liable, correct?
I would be liable,
If you
too,
use your
yes.
credentials to say, drink this and it will cure your cancer, and
Right.
someone did that, you would be liable.
But would CBS give me airtime for a commercial for that? No.
We complain as conservatives that there's not enough fact checkers that are on the right. There's Snopes, there's fact check, they're on the left, but there needs to be someone to take to.
Snopes is on the left?
Oh, yeah.
How does the fact check become?
Yeah,
The owner,
The facts are,
it donates. to
last
the
I checked,
Democrats.
facts.
Yeah,
Well, if they're actually a fact check.
Well,
yeah.
are there any that you all support that we could like look into, or do you think that's something that like Republicans could try to
That's
make
what
more
I
like
need.
think
There needs to
tanks?
be.
I personally think that Snopes and Politico are by and large very accurate.
Yeah.
I think that,
Yeah.
I mean, I think, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, you continue, please.
No, I think that they're by and large very accurate, but I think as with literally any media source, I mean, you can't look at, there is nothing that will be the unequivocal truth.
Right.
There is nothing,
What do
you
you
know,
mean?
so you need to like look at,
things
I
are
mean, well, you need to
based
look
on
at it and know that
scientific
it's being written from a
Yeah.
place of bias. Oh, I mean, sure, like hydroxychloroquine is not gonna like cure you of COVID.
Right,
You know,
but that's not liberal or conservative, that's just true.
That's
Or,
stupid
I
or
guess
not stupid.
It depends.
Right, yeah.
It depends. It depends if it's like an opinion, and then it also depends if people, like politicians, love throwing out different statistics and studies and things like that. And as like a little sciencey person, I do believe in the scientific method for the most part, and I think that things should be tested over and over and over again. And I think providing those, like if a politician is saying a statistic, I think there should be some sort of fact-checking body. However, I am totally on board with there being a fact-checking body that is, say, 50% Republican,
Right.
50% Democrat. I think that's totally fine.
There is political bias, I'm sure, in the Snopes realm. Somebody on the corporate board is liberal. You said the CEO, fine.
yeah.
But there is true and untrue. And if we begin to link those two with like political affiliations, then it's dangerous because we have no realm of truth.
There are lies that are harmful, Lawrence, like you were describing. You know, there are a lot of lies that are harmful and have caused a lot of harm, but giving the government the power to arbitrate what
Yeah.
is and isn't true,
That's a different
I think can
story,
also cause a lot of harm as well.
We're far more, we should worry far more about the social sphere than the governmental sphere because we have the First Amendment.
That's First Amendment should trump all. That's at least where I stand.
Yeah, for the government.
Right.
I think for individuals too.
Well, no, I mean, the First Amendment is about government restriction on speech.
Yeah, not.
So a lot of people that say I got banned on Twitter and my First Amendment rights were violated. No, that's a private
Yeah, it's a
entity,
private
yeah.
company. I get it.
Some people should not have a platform.
I know this kind of goes against my freedom of speech outlook, but like we were saying before, like I don't want to see Hezbollah having a Twitter feed, or I don't want to see, ISIS having a Twitter feed. There's definitely a fine line. I can't say everyone deserves a platform.
There's this thing called the paradox of tolerance.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you guys are familiar with it, but it's essentially saying that if we're tolerant of everybody, if we give everybody a voice, and we're like, all right, everything everybody says is okay as long as you feel that way. If we're tolerant of everything, then eventually our tolerance will be snuffed out by people that are intolerant.
I think if they're causing harm, so like you
That's
all were all
exactly.
saying, that's when, and like serious harm, I don't think that we should
Causing
encourage
harm,
that.
what does
So
that mean,
that's
though?
like the illegal trade of an endangered species, or that's a terrorist organization. I think as a society we should kind of.
The reason why I didn't come forward is because, I think it goes back to cancel culture in the sense, like people who have been espoused from society because they did something so wrong is that
Cancel culture.
yeah, and people do bad things, and people have committed like terrible things to people or someone or group of people, but I think forgiveness should be an element, and people should have their chance to get back on their platforms by, I don't know, doing something. I personally don't know what the social media companies would do, but
True.
It's also like, I guess, deplatforming versus banning versus just people not really wanting to mess with them anymore. And usually the people who are really vocal about cancel culture sometimes are people who they still have their platform, they still have their Twitter, they still have their Instagram. They're just mad that society has been like, R. Kelly, we don't like you. Or like, you know what, we don't like
Kelly.
that you caused a bunch of harm to people.
Right.
The other thing I think about with deplatforming is that you rob somebody of their opportunity for absolution. So if Alex Jones were to decide, and for somebody whose platform is their livelihood, not whose platform or who has a livelihood outside of their platform, like J.K. Rowling, when you take that away from them, if he were to suddenly turn around and he were to say, okay, the frogs aren't gay, and like
He was
this,
right
and
about the frogs,
these
though,
people
which
aren't
is weird.
controlling the weather, he would have no platform to come and say that, which I consider to be a problem.
Am I the only one that's not in favor of this whole like forgiveness, you can come back thing?
It depends, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not, because I feel like
The
it depends on the
ostracism.
degree. Yeah, because I feel like I hate cancel culture. I hate the notion
Yes.
that we can essentially exile somebody from
Yes.
anything. But on the same hand, I still believe that consequences are real. And
Yeah.
if you do something that causes lasting damage, then you need lasting consequences. If somebody is a manslaughter, we put them in jail for life. If somebody, does something to harm somebody for over a long period of time, you should not be able to redeem yourself and come back to the same place that you were when you caused that harm.
You're gonna have a niche audience.
This is such a weird, punitive way to look at criminal justice. This is such a weird way. I mean, it's very American. It's how we look at it as Americans. That like the whole point of like our justice system is for revenge or retribution or whatever. But like, I mean, like the goal should always be rehabilitation. If you're not going to do the thing, if you get in trouble for doing a thing, the punishment that should be enacted should be whatever is corrective enough to make you not do the thing anymore. Like the idea that you have to suffer more than or whatever, this weird retributive justice idea is very fucking strange.
It's like Alex Jones, I'm sure he still
Right,
has
yeah, he's a
dedicated
niche
followers.
audience.
But to say that everybody needs to forgive you, oh no, because
Yeah,
I might
I'm
not.
not a fan.
I
There has
didn't
to be
appreciate-
consequences.
Everybody's freaking out about manslaughter, life in prison. He was speaking colloquially. He didn't mean manslaughter like if you literally were convicted of manslaughter. He just means like killing people. Chill.
It depends on your religion. It depends on so many different things. But yeah, but I think people are able to come back to some extent, but they're hating on the fact that they're not able to make as much money.
I can think of personal instances where I had opinions that were heard out of context, that were rather moderate or something like that, where people had very visceral reactions and immediately things started to come apart.
How dare you.
And I wished for more of a chance to be heard. And like I'm not gonna state these things, but they were not anywhere near the vein of what I was talking about earlier. These were things that were just kind of unpopular and easy to take out of context. And I wished that I had more of a chance for people to hear me out, as opposed to kind of react viscerally from the start.
And I think there's also personal accountability. So for example, if I say something online and a bunch of people, whether they're my followers, especially if they're people who I know and trust and they have a really visceral reaction to it, sometimes I think what's missing on social media is that moment for self-reflection of like, did I say something that may have hurt other people? Can I get curious about it? I might not agree with that person being hurt, but can I at least empathize with it? Or do I want to get back on social media and say everyone is silencing me so then I can have a more niche audience of people who only agree with me? Because at this point, I think that most people just want to feel seen, heard, and validated on the left and on the right. And I think there are a lot of people on the right that do not feel seen, heard, and validated. I'm not going to say that what you all are feeling is a figment of your imagination. I think it's coming from somewhere and needs to be attended to.
You know, you see all these bad things about happening to, you know, Trump supporters, and like they're getting their car keyed or stuff like that. And then my parents are.
I feel like this guy's main purpose here has just been to look a lot at people. Like the camera cuts to this guy looking at people, but he's talked like 3 times. This guy.
You know, Trump supporters, and like they're getting their car keyed or stuff like that. And then my parents are always like, you know, maybe you should just keep it to yourself. And that's a shame, because
if someone killed someone you loved, would you want to educate them and make sure they learn they shouldn't do that, or make sure that they wouldn't do that? That's Destiny's argument. No, you inbred fucking dipshit. If somebody killed somebody that I loved, I would probably want to fucking murder that person. However, that's why we don't let the families of victims decide the consequences for people that commit crimes. It shouldn't be up to the person that's most affected to determine what the appropriate punishment is. That would be called a fucking crazy system of fucking revenge. The fuck? We don't do that, right? The whole point is that you have some impassioned third party arbiter of justice is the one deciding like what the proper punishment ought to be.
I thought we lived in a society where we could talk about, you know, differing ideas, and we had that platform to have that free speech and, you know, to have a healthy debate. And so it's kind of, I feel, especially my family and
Sorry, dispassionate, not impassionate. Sorry.
social media, is that they want to put me into submission to suppress my voice and my conservative opinions.
I can kind of resonate with what you said, not necessarily from a family standpoint, but, you know, from a like large scale, generally speaking, when somebody sees like somebody like me, just a black man, you know, like prominent in their beliefs about like, you know, the greatness of, you know, pre-colonial Africa, or, you know, just loving kente cloth and stuff like that. There are presumptions made, and it obviously doesn't make people like me feel seen or heard or understood, because you just seen me and made a bunch of assumptions, you know, assumed a bunch of things. Like, I think we kind of have that problem, not only with social media, but just in general. You know, there's biases. It's tough. You know, it's tough to have any different opinion or any different voice.
All right. You bump it, whatever you want to do.
I was gonna bump it.
Whatever you guys prefer. Sorry.
Nice to meet you.
A lot of fun.
Thank you again to our sponsor, Dashlane, for making this episode of Middle Ground possible. Dashlane generates and securely stores all your passwords and login information on every website, so you never have to click forgot password ever again on any device. Dashlane lets you store basically everything: passport information, credit card info that autofills, banking info, and your Wi-Fi password all in one, so you always have everything on hand on any device, which is especially great for travel. Speaking of travel, there's also a VPN, so you won't be tracked and can access any content when you're browsing the internet in other countries. For you good humans out there, go to dashlane.com/Jubilee to get Dashlane free on your first device, and then use the code Jubilee when you want to upgrade to premium to get 10% off. Thank you again to Dashlane, and we'll see you next time.
Wow. Okay, I'm done doing fun content. Listen, if you like politics, we try to do it here at noon PST. Okay. I can't hold back